It was New Year's Eve, and like every year, my friends and I gathered for a celebration. We laughed, drank, and counted down to midnight. As the fireworks lit up the sky and the clock struck 12, it felt like the perfect start to the year. By 1:30 a.m., people were starting to leave. My best friend Jake offered me a ride, but I declined. "I'll walk," I told him. It was only a 15-minute stroll back to my apartment, and honestly, I wanted the cool night air to clear my head. The streets were quiet. You'd expect more noise, people celebrating, cars honking. But it was oddly silent. The kind of silence that makes you hyper-aware of every little sound. My footsteps echoed on the pavement, and every time they did, I felt like someone else's steps overlapped with mine. I stopped and looked around. Nothing. Just the empty road behind me. About halfway home, I noticed something strange. A dark sedan was parked at the corner of my block, its engine running. I wouldn't have thought much of it, but as I got closer, the car suddenly turned on its headlights. Not bright, just the low beams. Gave me the feeling that someone was watching. I brushed it off and kept walking, telling myself not to overthink it. I crossed the street and stayed on the opposite sidewalk, putting more distance between me and the car. But then the car started moving. Slowly. At first, it kept pace with me, the hum of its engine growing louder. I glanced over my shoulder, trying to act casual, and noticed the driver's window was down just enough for someone to peek through. I couldn't see much, just a shadowy outline, but I felt their gaze. "Don't panic," I told myself. "They're probably just looking for a parking spot." I picked up my pace. The car did too. I felt my chest tighten. I wasn't far from home, maybe 4 blocks, but every step I took felt heavier. The streetlights seemed dimmer, and the gaps between them suddenly felt too wide. Then, the car sped up and pulled ahead of me, stopping just a few feet in front. I stopped walking. My heart was racing. My mind screamed at me to turn around and run, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. The driver's door opened and a man stepped out. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie pulled low over his face. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, leaning against the car like he was waiting for me to make the first move. Every instinct told me to cross the street again and walk the other way. But as I turned to do just that, I saw the passenger door open. Another man got out. This one was shorter but stockier, his hands in his pockets as he slowly started walking toward me. "Hey," I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "You guys need something?" Neither of them responded. The shorter one kept moving closer, his pace deliberate. The guy by the car lit a cigarette like he had all the time in the world. I knew then this wasn't random. They were targeting me. Without thinking, I turned and bolted. I didn't look back. I just ran. I could hear them shouting behind me, their footsteps pounding against the pavement. The sound of the car door slamming shut told me they weren't giving up. I ducked into an alley, my lungs burning as I sprinted toward the other side. But as I reached the end, I heard the screech of tires. They had cut me off. The car blocked the exit, and the shorter guy was already rounding the corner behind me. My heart was hammering in my chest as I looked for an escape. A fire escape ladder hung just out of reach above me. I jumped, gripping the bottom rung and pulling myself up. "Get down here," one of them yelled. I didn't stop. I climbed as fast as I could, my hands slipping on the cold metal. By the time I reached the second floor, I heard them cursing below, arguing about whether to climb up or wait for me to come down. I didn't wait to find out their decision. I swung myself onto a narrow ledge, shimmied toward the next building, and dropped down into another alley. This one led to a busier street, where a couple of late-night taxis were parked. I flagged one down, jumped inside, and told the driver to just go, anywhere but here. As the car pulled away, I glanced out the back window. The two men were standing at the mouth of the alley, staring after me. I made it home that night, but I didn't sleep. To this day, I don't know who they were or what they wanted. Maybe it was a robbery. Maybe it was worse. All I know is, I'll never walk home alone on New Year's again.